Hey everybody, June is a very important month for us men. It's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's something that we really want to talk about because men need to learn how to become more expressive about their feelings, their thoughts, and all of that stuff. So we're going to dive deep into that in today's episode. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode of the Bump Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Bump Podcast. I'm your host Shamir, here with my co-host and beloved brother Nabil.
Hi everybody. Hopefully you guys are all doing good and are healthy and are having a good day so far.
Because I know we are. We're definitely having a good day. Very positive day. We're podcasting again. Today's topic is on Men's Mental Health Month. We are still in it. It's the month of June.
That it is.
We've been recording a lot of episodes and whatnot, so we've been very busy. But we said we were going to make some room for this episode this month. So we'll be releasing before the end of the month, or the end of the month, if I'm not mistaken. It should be Wednesday,
more or less.
So the 30th. Anyways, what is it, 30th? No, I'm lying.
No, 30th is on a Sunday.
So then, it would be the 26th. Anyways, I'm just over here thinking
other
busy stuff, the good things that are coming this way for this podcast. But anyways, so Nabil,
yes.
What do you have on Men's Mental Health Month?
Well, first and foremost, the reason we're touching this topic is because of the fact that through a friend of mine, it was brought to my attention that in the month of June, we the nation celebrates this, which I thought was wonderful. Mm-hmm. And I was aware of this. I became aware of this last year at my job, but it didn't cross my mind, right? And I'm no longer at that job, so there's that too. And I told him right away, I was like, oh, snap. Like, listen, this month specifically between June 10th through the 16th is when we celebrate this particular month. Well, when I found out it was the 16th. So I was just like, oh, shoot. Well, at least, we need to bring this awareness in the month of June while we're still in it. So let's record this episode and let's dive as deep as possible into this topic and bring more awareness to it, and hopefully this will help out a lot of men by the time you're done watching or listening to this episode. So there's that. Yes, we want to touch upon certain issues, right, that affects us men, and then of course we'll bring up more things, but some of the most top things that occur that obviously affects men is depression, which is characterized by a persistent low mood that interferes with everyday functioning. Anxiety disorders, of course, that's characterized by intense and uncontrollable feelings of fear and worry. Mm-hmm. Schizophrenia, PTSD, and substance abuse. And it all makes sense. It all adds up. A lot of times if men had a long day or a long week of work, what do? They go to the bars after work and whatnot. They drink as much as they can, or sometimes they'll go to clubs. They do all these things as a type of coping mechanism. We have friends, we have family who have done it. I certainly have never done it. It was never kind of my lifestyle. But my different coping mechanisms for sure have been, instead of alcohol, they were sweets, they were candy, they were ice cream, they were honey buns, they were all that stuff. And sometimes you think, oh, maybe it's just a craving that I have. Let me indulge myself in it. But no, it's actually a particular disorder, because then it wasn't me just having one. It was having two, maybe even three.
Right.
And that's not good. That's not good at all. Anxiety. I mean, that just stemmed. I feel like for me, I always had little spikes here and there, depending on the job that I had. But I think even more so in the last job we had. That's when anxiety kicked in on a whole nother level, because it's like, I'm at this job. Yes, I'm making good money, but I'm also killing myself with, 50 plus hours a week, barely any time to breathe, barely any time to kind of spend with your loved ones. And then on top of that, you just want to rest. Right. And you're just like, well, I'm resting, but then I can't spend time with my loved ones. And then it's like, I got to repeat the week all over again. Yeah. And depression's kind of in there as well, where it's just kind of like,
I think everything you just said, it all lines up from, the beginning one process thing to the next. And then it just gets worse. And
totally.
Yeah, it just escalates afterwards.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we want you guys to be aware of that stuff. Schizophrenia, I don't think I've ever gone through that. I don't know if you have.
Yes, I have.
Oh, so then talk to us about that.
To me, schizophrenia is where you start to see things that are not there, or I would say, I guess hallucinations might be another one that's similar to it. Where
now this is under no substance or anything.
Well,
because I know
schizophrenia is more being sober, where like, okay, I can see like some black walking by, and then I look back and nothing's there, or like just hear things that are, that you're the only person that's hearing them. Because I literally, I've asked my lady in the past, did you hear that? She's like, no. Then it happens again.
But I think that happens to all of us, because that's happened to me too. And even,
but I just think in general, like overall, like that's on the sober level. Like when I've been under the influence, of course I've saw all types of crazy stuff in the past. But I mean, that's just when I was in those times. You know what I'm saying? Now, like a beer is occasional, and marijuana, for example, is definitely what's cured my stomach and whatnot, and my stomach issues.
Yeah.
And also my diet, eating different, honestly, and stop drinking coffee and all these things. Honestly, coffee was it. Like, I just love the taste and how it made me feel at the beginning, but then afterwards, once that rush goes off, or you crash, or your stomach feels terrible, you got to go to the restroom 3 times a day or more, and it's just terrible. But like, that was the only thing. It was just really the taste when it came to coffee that I love so much, and just the rush it gives me, the energy rush. But then I noticed that the more I drank it, the more anxious and the more like jittery I become, the more.
I mean, that happens to a lot of freaking people too. I always said that coffee is the most legal drug a human being can consume.
Yeah, it's the source of caffeine that should be illegal, I guess.
And our body just doesn't need that. There's other remedies that can give you the energy you need to get through the day.
And I think if you were to drink, maybe 1 cup of coffee, but it has to be like
in moderation,
like 4 or 5 ounces at most. Don't push 10 ounces, 16 ounces worth of coffee. That's just crazy. And if it's dark, like straight drip, like I call it, you shouldn't do that, because it pushes the limit. I was drinking 5-6 cup of coffee at 16 ounces a day in prison, all dark. Sheesh. This color right here. You know what I'm saying? It was terrible. And that's what messed up my stomach, honestly. I think it was one of the things that messed me up. But anyways, back to the substance abuse and whatnot. I think that's another thing, because recently I was talking to someone where they told me like, if you were really rehabilitated, you'd completely stop drinking completely. Like, you just don't want nothing to do with that. And I understand that from his perspective. But at the same time, I'm like, listen, I know I am rehabilitated because I don't have an alcohol problem. Like, I don't have to depend on it. I don't have to go to it for nothing. And the times that I do go to a bar and drink 1 beer with, let's say, like Hector or something real quick at Buffalo Wild Wings. Or even
us when we've had like lunch or dinner.
Sit down, boom, just hit it real quick. That's my drink. Anyways, if you think that the price is too, let's say you got a $4 draft beer and then you have a $3 cup of juice, you're just $1 away from a beer. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, price wise, that's just making it funny. But honestly, it's just like, that's just sitting and enjoying one. And then if we go on biblical terms, I am not losing my consciousness on 1 beer.
Right.
And I'm not losing my focus and I'm not losing my senses and all that stuff. So at the end of the day, we can go down that route too and say that. But long story short, for those people that are going through substance abuse situations because of your mental health or whatnot, I believe that if you need to seek some help, professional help. And if you don't know how to cope with these things yourself, because there are strong people out there that say, hey, I'm determined to do these things, and they do them. But then there's a lot of other people, which is most people in society, I would say, that struggle with substance abuse can't really do it themselves. Again, that's another thing that I was telling you about Scott Hall, the wrestler, rest in peace, his soul. And the reason why I want to bring all these guys on the podcast that were around him, because they all were dealing with substance abuse. But in his case, he had a murder charge on him. You know what I'm saying? He used to work at the Dollhouse here on OBT as a bouncer back in the day, in like the 80s and 90s.
Correct.
Before he was a wrestler. And what happened? He killed a guy, and then later in the.
But wasn't it through self-defense?
Yes, but still, he still
that's
got
what
the
he
charge.
Was
It's not even the charge. It's just in his mind, he blew a guy's head off that he didn't want to do. Like, and then you see all that traumatic stuff happen. Same thing with veterans, all these people. That's why his son's, I think, a veteran as well. That's why I would like to bring him on, because of that same reason, because it's guys that go through traumatic issues and things within the army or the military in general that bring them to right, and bring them to the same thing their family members were going through for whatever reason, whether drinking or doing dope or whatever. But the thing was with Scott Hall is that at the end of the documentary that I was watching, you should finish watching it so you can see it. But anyways, he was saying that he was taking therapy and whatnot. He was getting help, and literally the whatever doctor he was going to or therapist he was going to literally told him, hey, you need to face this issue. So he sent him off to go to the Dollhouse again, to the strip club, and think about it, like, you have to own up to those things. You know what I'm saying? Certain things that are very, very traumatic or strong in your life, you have to talk about them. You have to face those problems and be like, you know what, I'm over this. And then when he went to the place, he was expressing like, man, this is still hard. It's just like, I still feel guilt that I killed a person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So again, these are circumstances that we're talking about that are very, very extreme, but it's happened to people.
But you can't get there. Yeah.
And you have to face these issues in your life one way or another, and try to create a mindset. Well, you see, in my case, the way I would see it, in his case, obviously he saw it in a different way. If a person was looking for problems and pulled out a gun on me, and then we started wrestling with the gun, I took the gun and ended up doing the thing. You know what I'm saying? Bro, you're the one that incited and started everything. So why am I going to carry that guilt inside of me that I did you harm when you were the one starting the issues? You get what I'm saying? But that's just my mindset. You get what I'm saying? Well, that's what I was
going to say. And that speaks to his character, who he was as a person, right? Where he just kind of carried it differently, and that's okay. And I think both your perspective and his are valid.
Yeah, they're very valid.
Because it just speaks to who you guys are. Because I also kind of think, I don't know. I would have to go through it, and I hope I don't ever have to. But if I were to go through it, I feel like I would be right in between you guys, where I would feel that guilt. But in the same breath, it's like, bro, I was defending myself. Like, it's either my life or your life, and I'm sorry.
And that was the last thing he said on that episode. He's like, it was either his or mine. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, it's a tough situation sometimes. And you know what? There's other situations that doesn't have to do with life or death that feel like life or death situations to people sometimes. Because again, it's the perspectives and the I guess the ideology people have towards things sometimes that leads him to think that some things are worse than what they really are. You get what I'm saying? And I think that, again, it's just it goes back to one thing. We have to communicate. We have to express these things. That's something else that Scott Hall said. He was like, it's been 20 plus years, and now is when I'm actually talking about it and like seeking help. You know what I'm saying? And I encourage people, don't let it get that far. If you
don't wait that long. No.
To us guys, we tend to sometimes bottle things in and be the strong one per se. And there's women out there too that do the same. But whether guy or girl, at the end of the day, we should talk these things out, seek help.
I mean, I feel like men need to learn from women. Women are very vulnerable. Women can easily access their emotions because it's like second nature to them versus us. We're always like the tough one. We're always told that weakness is a no-go for a man because then it makes you look like a sissy. But the key for a man to really, I think, access our full potential is by letting those emotions out.
Yeah.
Because what makes you strong is the fact that you're confronting whatever is messing with your head and your heart.
Yeah.
And you're doing something about it. Right? So you have to confront that and face it straight in the eye and just be like, you know what, whatever this is, I'm going to get through it. Like, I have to. Like, it's in front of me, and I'm going to go through it no matter what it takes, and have the right support system, and in our case, we believe in God. And so we have to, go through prayer, face whatever difficulties, and know that he's going to help us get through it. But not only just him, of course, we need a good support system, family, friends, whatever it might be that will actually help you get through the other side. There's a story in the Bible real quick where there's this man named Job, and Job lost everything, but he was super faithful the entire time, even going through his trials and tribulations. And the cool part about Job is when he was in his grieving stage, because he lost his family, his riches, everything. He had a group of friends that were with him, and they didn't preach to him, they didn't minister to him, they didn't, it's gonna be all right or whatever. They literally sat with him for several days as this man was getting his emotions out. And there was a sermon several weeks back at my church where the pastor was saying how men or women, whenever we're going through a particular season or whatever, we don't want to hear a particular Bible verse when we're in the grieving process. We don't want to hear, hey, God's got you and this and that. We simply want you to just sit there if you're going to support me. Give me a hug if I need it. A pat on the shoulder, whatever it is, because once you're starting to heal, once you're kind of, okay, now I got my tears out or I got my frustrations out, whatever it is, you'll look back at those memories once you've gotten to the other side and be like, oh, Shamir was there for me. These people were there for me, and I'm stronger and I'm healthier, let's say, or happier, or whatever you want to consider it, because they were right there and they weren't preaching and they weren't like, just telling me things I don't want to hear while I'm in the raw emotions. You can tell people what they need to hear once they've relaxed, calmed down, simmered down, that sort of stuff. And then you keep moving forward with the healing process. That's super important to know. I can say I have a decent amount of people I can definitely rely on. If I need some sort of coping, like I know I can rely on him. I know I can rely on my wife. I can rely on my parents. I can rely on particular friends, and know that everything's going to be all right. Know that I'll be able to get to the other side. It might take a while. Sometimes it'll actually be quick too. It depends. It all depends on how long you're willing to drag something out.
Yeah.
And so, men, just be more willing to express yourselves, And sometimes the best way to heal is actually doing what a lot of men don't want to do, which is seek therapy.
Yeah.
It's a prideful thing where you don't want to seek therapy, again, just because it's kind of a sign of weakness or whatever. But
even then, I think also a lot of people think that therapy is like, okay, what can this person do to help me, feel better? Just the misconceptions, I think, too, because I recently heard another person, too, who's like, said the same thing. I told him, hey, why don't you seek therapy? And it's like, okay. First off, this person needs to be black because I'm black. Okay. Took the racial card down the road, and then on top of that, said, what do I have to do in order to? What is this person? This person needs to understand my footsteps before they could tell me how to live. And it's just like, that is the complete opposite of what therapy is. To me, therapy. Let me explain something. To me, therapy is, because this is how I shut the person up. I was like, okay. So you're going to tell me that that when you are in a subconscious state of mind, that you can make conscious decisions all the time. Not sometimes, because it is possible, but I'm saying all the time.
No.
So then I was just like, and that's what a therapist does, helps you understand your subconscious state of mind, that sometimes there's automatic triggers in your brain that lead you to the wrong thoughts, to wrong decisions.
Yeah.
And then it opens up that part of the brain where you're like, okay, boom, I need to pay attention to this, and this, because these are the things that are occurring. And what is triggering, because that's another thing, it's on the Scott Hall documentary, this therapist said the same thing. You got to find what is triggering you to feel this type of way that leads you to the dope, the alcohol, and everything else. You get what I'm saying? And deal with that accordingly. Again, if we talk about jobs, for example, there's certain people that work that 9 to 5 all day long. They don't have an opportunity to go to a therapy session or all these things. They would have to take a day off for a certain portion of the day in order to go to these sessions or whatnot.
Yeah, they don't have flexibility.
Yeah, and then their life is just on the weekends is literally falling asleep, watching Netflix and shit, and eating and hanging out like that, because they're tired, they're exhausted. They don't want to go on a long walk to Disney Springs or freaking.
And that sucks because you're not living.
Right, but again, but that's the system. So then you have to see what the system is and take yourself out of it. You get what I'm saying? And okay, I gotta find a job that I love to do, or what? How can I get paid to do the things I love?
That's it.
How can I get the body that I want? How can I do these things? And you know what I'm saying? That's what I was telling some family members recently. I was like, you guys need to write these things down, the goals that you want, and write down the path and how you want to accomplish these things in order to accomplish them. Because if you don't have goals, you don't it's a roadmap to life. You're just literally wandering around in circles, not knowing where you're trying to go.
No, and we've talked about it before in previous episodes where we all are here on this earth for a particular purpose. Whether you believe in God or not, that's up to you, right? But we're all here for a particular purpose. We're not just here just to live. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. Like, we're all born with a particular gift, whether it's being funny, whether it's entertaining people, whether it's being of service, whatever it might be. You know, whether it's doing a podcast and you know, it blows up and helps a whole bunch of people, and in turn it helps the podcast hosts as well. Whatever it might be, you need to discover that. You need to try different things, so that, you know, you can actually enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the point. Like, how does it make sense that we are waking up day after day and we're just feeling the exact same unhappy kind of feeling? Like,
yeah,
to me that just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like, no, like, we're meant to enjoy this world. We're meant to enjoy the people around us. We're meant to enjoy going to the theme parks or whatever and just having a good day with your loved ones, or a water park or the beach, or, you know, a picnic, whatever, dinner time. You know, we're supposed to enjoy those moments, you know, especially if it's a day off after a long week of work, or let's say your day off is in between your work week or whatever.
Yeah.
Enjoy that. You know, don't just make it like a full days of rest or a full day of just, you know, running your errands and then you have to go back to work. Like, no. Give time to work on yourself and self-betterment. You know what I mean? And find a job that, if it's not your forever job, that it could be a job where it leads you to the career path you actually want, which is what I'm currently working on, what he's currently working on. I want to bring up some topics that's difficult for men to open up with, or the feelings that kind of concern them, right? So first thing is society. Men may feel pressure to be strong and self-reliant, and that expressing emotions is not masculine. The stereotype is reinforced by popular culture, such as movies, TV, video games, and social media. That's so true. That's also what feeds us as men to feel this particular way, because that's what we see. And I mean, I'm a sucker for movies and TV. Video games not so much, only because it's I don't have time like that like I used to. But it's also true, you know, where everything that you watch can just flip a switch inside your brain, and it can impact you the rest of your life. So that's why it's super important too to consider what kind of media you're consuming. And I'm saying this to myself too. You know, sometimes I have to back off on certain let's say action-packed movies, because it could sometimes be a trigger if I see something go wrong in real life or whatever. Like, I just, you know, I might be thinking, I just want to smack the living heck out of him or something like that. And that's not the attitude we're supposed to have. We're supposed to be loving and show grace and mercy to people, rather than lashing out or acting the same exact way that they're acting. So there's that. Also, fear. Men may be afraid of being shamed, accused of something, or not being articulate. And it's a fear that we try to do our best to mask it, meaning we try to keep it bottled up and not demonstrate it to the world that we're fearful, you know, because again, it's a sign of weakness according to society. And that's something we definitely need to face. And again, like he mentioned, Scott Hall, he had to face his fears, and he did it, from what it sounds like, which is good. That's a sign of growth. Vulnerability. Being vulnerable can be scary and hard work. Men may also shy away from vulnerable conversations, which again is what we're saying. You need to be willing to open up about it, so that you can better yourself and show that you're growing as a man, as a strong person. That's one of the most important topics that you need to be able to work on. Solution. Men may be more solution focused and brush off difficult feelings. That's also true. But again, it's not going to help you. You know what I mean? You have to be able to talk about the difficult stuff.
Right.
That's the only way you're going to be able to heal and then, go from there. It's kind of like if we get a cut, right? You get a cut, or let me put it this way. It's like you're working out your muscle. You're working out your biceps. We're tearing it every single day, but there's a layer of tissue in between that allows for your muscle to grow and heal within the next day, right? So it's the same thing with us, with our feelings, with the difficult feelings. You open up that wound, you're confronting it, you're putting the healing ointment that you need, and then as time goes on, it heals, and now it's back, it's brand new. It looks good. Or it might leave a scar, but that scar is healed and now you're good to go again. Hopefully that kind of gives you all a different perspective. Childhood experiences. Men's childhood experiences may make it difficult to open up. You could have been abused mentally, physically, whatever it might be, and that'll definitely, put up some walls that you obviously don't want to knock down. Yeah, feel free to add some stuff there if you.
No, go ahead. I'm just listening.
So there's that. And then friends. A man's friends have a laddie culture with lots of banter and little emotional conversations. It may be hard to know how they'll react if he opens up. Again, it all goes back to the people you surround yourself with. Yeah. Yes, we like to bust each other's balls as men and all that stuff. It's just part of who we are, I guess. But at the end of the day, like if you can't be, free to open up to your best friends or your the people you keep close to you, then what's the point of having the relationship? You can only joke around for so long before you break.
Yeah. So
keep that in mind.
Yeah, definitely having your surroundings is very important. I mean,
totally.
Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, because a lot of people that are introverts don't really have a lot of people around them. So it's like sometimes, what is going to lead me to my main point of this topic, which is you have to be able to get out of your comfort zone and
definitely
focus on the main things and how you're going to get to the goals that you're trying to achieve with your mental health. I've been able to, again, leave alcohol alone. Yeah, again, I'm not saying I don't drink a beer occasionally, but an occasional beer does not mean I'm an alcoholic or
no, not
I
at all.
love to drink now. You know what I'm saying? Can it lead? And let me say this though: can it lead back to being an alcoholic? Of course it can, because if I let it get to that, it'll get there.
Yeah,
it'll get there. But if you have discipline, I read recently. I forgot where I read it. Where it was literally saying these are a lot of things you need to know before you're 40, right? The age of 40. But one of those things was like, you don't need 100 self-betterment books in order to be successful. All you need is literally discipline and determination and focus, stuff like that, right? And I'm like, I agree, and I don't agree at the same time on that, because self-betterment books gives you perspectives. You get what I'm saying? Where whether it helps you or not, you can help somebody else maybe with what you read in a book. You get what I'm saying?
Oh,
and reading books, and whether it's self-betterment or not, helps you mentally in different aspects. You get what I'm saying? But then at the same time, I'm like, okay, yes, if you do have determination and you do have discipline and things, you can accomplish things without having to read 1,000 books. That makes sense too. But again, we have to determine ourselves that, okay, we want to make a change, that we want to focus on these things and move forward from them. Again, I used to smoke every day of my life terribly. I mean, got to the point, that I was spitting out black phlegm out my mouth every so often. It was terrible. And it was just that tar and all that disgusting stuff coming out. But, it's just things that happen. It's phases in life. There are people that relapse as well. So I don't discard that either when it comes to the substance abuse. I think that, depression and anxiety and all these things are very powerful mental state of minds that occur sometimes that are, they could overpower people's thought process. So what do? Yeah. We have to pay attention to these things, be conscious about them, and work on those things that are our downfalls. Essentially, again, recently I was like, man, I need to start working out because I could hardly pick up my kid now. I get exhausted. He's getting heavy. I run from here to the couch and from the couch back over here to this room. And it's just like, bro, I'm out of breath. There's no way. I'm like,
you should work out with him, literally.
You literally just start, lifting him up all day long. And then that's the thing. It's just like, in order for me to fix that, I need to work out. So the things in life, anything that you're trying to fix, you have to learn it. You have to progressively grow and get to where you want to get to. These things don't just come out of nowhere. Same thing. LeBron James putting $1 million into his body a year. With his diet, working out, all these things. Yeah, people were like, "Oh, that's just a capitalistic mentality, and it's just this and that." They bash all about it. I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of positives to that, and I'm gonna start with, the man's just trying to keep his athletic state to be the face of the NBA or one of the main faces of the NBA.
Yeah.
Also, he's just trying to live a very long life. You know what I'm saying? I know he has his goals set in place to that point where he's like, you know what? Whether I have only 10 million or I have $1 billion, I'm still going to invest this million because I believe in myself. His state of mind, his mindset is where it needs to be. Mm-hmm. Nobody created this for LeBron. You get what I'm saying? And a lot of people hate on him, but I just believe that this is another podcast we're having soon, which is on envy, because I think a lot of people that are envious and that don't even know, I don't know LeBron. LeBron might be cocky. He might be whatever the hell people portray him to be. Yes, probably. But I can guarantee you that there might be certain topics you could talk to him about that are really awesome and that he could give you insight on those topics that'll help you progress in your life. Because to me, success, that's another thing. I also saw recently where a person was saying that in a comment box of a video, he's like, oh, so you are measuring people by the amount of followers they have. So you're measuring their success by the amount of followers they have. You know what? And I'm in favor of the person that does say, yes, that is somewhat true, that success is measured by the followers you have. Why? I'm talking about not 10,000 followers, not 100,000. I'm talking about you had 1 million, 2 million, you're doing something in society that people are following you to that point where you have 1 million followers. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? So I'm not saying it in the fact that like, hey, we need 1 million followers to be accepted in society. What I'm saying is that yes, you might be progressing to a certain extent where people want to follow you to that point. You get what I'm saying? A lot of people also, what I'm trying to say is, in general, to not get off topic, is it's the mindset people have. It's how you see where they're at in life. For example, you see the people that are criticizing too. The ones that are criticizing usually are the most depressed, anxious people that ain't got nothing going on in their life, right, that have enough time to sit down all day and binge on the phone and be like, you suck, you're a loser. I don't know why you're investing $1 million into your body. I don't know why you measure a success with the amount of followers a person has.
I mean, look, it everything you described about LeBron, I mean, it's literally the last thing that I had here on the list, which is habits. That the longer a man waits to open up, the harder it may be to break down that barrier.
Yeah.
But other than that too, it's his discipline is so inspiring to me, because it's just like, bro, like I would like to pick your brain one day and be like, how did you start it? Right? Like, did you do it from a young age? Did you do it once you joined the NBA? Like, what, how did you, and I'm not even talking about the money stuff that he invests in for his body. Like, when did it become so important to you to work out, let's say every day or 5 days a week or whatever? Also training to continue to play as nasty as he does, because he's an amazing player.
One thing I can say though is, now being a parent too, I think it has a lot to do with how the parents are showing you how to do things. Because if you're showing your son or your daughter in this life the habits that you are doing, and they start to see this, that's
going to benefit them at a young age,
or harm them at a young age. Because if you're showing them consistency, me and Malek, we have the same schedule every day. Monday through Friday. And then on the weekends, it kind of fluctuates because it's the weekend. Things are different. But you know what I'm saying? And then what my lady shows the kid as well is constant work, constant consistency on the things that she does. You get what I'm saying? And it's just like, I know he's going to grow up to be whatever he does, whether it's right or wrong, he's going to be consistent at it because he's seeing it as he's growing. He's like, okay, this is what's natural. Right. In our life, there was a lot of inconsistencies. You get what I'm saying? If you look at them, you know, and I'm not trying to blame mom or dad. It's just more like, it's just reality. You get what I'm saying? Like,
well, it's what they grew up in too.
Again, yes, it's at least for us in Puerto Rico, we're going to speak for our families, not for all the Puerto Rican families out there.
Right.
But there's a lot of inconsistencies with a lot of Puerto Rican families, and it is, especially ours, where, you know,
totally
everything is, oh, you got to go out and hard work and this and that, and then, you know, you got to stop school to take care of your family. Like, you got to stop following your dreams. Let's take school out of it. You got to stop following your dreams in order to take care of your family. Be more
realistic about it.
Like, it's just like, it's crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if my son has a dream and he wants to accomplish it, I'm going to push everything in my power.
And he really will, because he supported me with mine.
You know what I'm saying? In order for you to achieve, like, if I got to work harder, I literally asked my lady yesterday this question. I was like, if you had the ability to save 1 million people and you not be saved, talking about religious real quick, and you not be saved, her answer didn't matter. But what I'm trying to say is that in my case, I'd be the person I'd sacrifice my life for 1 million people to be saved. That's just me, though. You get what I'm saying? Whether you're the person that you would save yourself and screw the whole 1 million people that don't deserve to go to heaven or whatever, that's on them. You get what I'm saying? Like, again, this is something that I've practiced in order to progress in life, which is, don't let the surroundings, your job, the people around you determine how your day is going to go. You might have a bad moment, but that doesn't mean the whole day is done and over with, and that's the end of it, and my day's messed up now. No.
It kind of makes me think where some people will watch content and they'll be like, oh, this one project just ruined my childhood. It's like, what?
Yeah, just people are so unrealistic. I mean,
no, it's exaggerating if you ask me. And so, you know, just to kind of bring it all back, it's men out there, fight for your happiness, for your joy. Fight for your purpose in life. Don't just stay in the stereotypical of, oh, I shouldn't release any kind of emotion because that makes me weak. Forget that. The ones who don't release it are the real weak people, because they're not going to get they're not going to get stronger. They're not going to get wiser, because they're still bottling up things that happened 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, no, you need to let go of that as soon as you can. Forgive people who you need to forgive. That doesn't mean forget and just be cool with them again or whatever. No, what that means is you're releasing this typical emotional weight from your soul and from your mind, setting yourself free, and then you can continue to move forward on the path that you have right in front of you.
Right. I think it's a quote I read one time which says, control is power, but not in a
manipulative or
way, or I'm not talking about a country. I'm talking about when you can control yourself in your mind before your mind controls you. That is power. That is definitely powerful, because when there's situations that you think a person would react one way and they react a completely other, but in a good manner, bro, like, you're just like, bro, this person has control. Like, if you have control of your mind, dude, like, you're so powerful, because it's sometimes hard to, when situations that come through, like
tough situations. Yeah, the tough situations is what will bring the real version of us at times.
Exactly.
And why do you think so many people, like, they pray or they meditate, but when they're in it for real, they're committed? Like, when the tough situations happen and they do something completely different than what you would do. Again, if you're in a tussle with somebody and they got a gun on you or whatever, you blew their brains out or whatever, there could be someone out there who will unarm you, toss the gun out, and then they'll find a way to, you know, handle the situation without anybody dying or whatever, you know. But when we're in a fight or flight kind of mode, it's kind of hard to, you know, whether that is, you know, blowing somebody's brains out by accident or breaking their bone or something, you know what I mean? Like, no, we have to find different ways to discipline ourselves so that we can, and not to prove necessarily to anybody, but that we stand out amongst the crowd,
of course,
and we can be an example for other people. Doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter who you are. Like, we can be that example and be the light, be the difference in the world, instead of being the exact same thing.
Yeah, like that's another topic coming soon.
There's a lot
to be an example. Yeah, there's so many, but be an example and an influence around people, because that's definitely something that impacts a lot of lives. We were talking about that in my sociology class the other day, but we'll talk about that more later.
Is there anything else?
No, I think honestly, we're good.
Yeah. We just wanted to bring this awareness to all of you guys.
Of course.
Ladies, if you're watching this, please share this with the men in your life. Please, please, please. It's super important. And hopefully you can show them some grace. Yeah. Whether they're your brother, your cousin, your husband, your boyfriend, your father, your uncle, whatever it might be. Like, you know, help them out. Yeah. Help them out. And they need to help y'all out as well. Like, it's not just a one-way thing.
If you see certain situations that might escalate or something, that, you know, try to be the person to
know how to handle it without triggering
to a point where it'll escalate. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But again, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for all the support. Again, like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on the ringle dingle dingle, please.
Turn it on.
Follow us on all our social platforms.
Yes.
And share with someone else. You know, share the blessings, everything that you hear on here, any gem that you got from this episode or from any of our prior episodes of the season and whatnot. Just pass it on to other people. Share it. And again, we thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you.
And it'll be until the next time. Y'all take care.
Have a good week.
See ya.